to somebody yesterday, I said that $5 I spent 13 years ago has been well worth it.
$5.
Oh, yeah, I went to Goodwill. Maybe it's time to change it. It's been washed. I have people accuse me of that, but that's not
You
true.
washed your lucky coat?
yeah, it's like my lucky hockey sweater.
Well, that's good. I have to say, I am particularly excited about these two teams. I've had the fortune of coaching in the Netherlands a couple times with what used to be in Enschede, but now they're Team 20. They used to be Eastside Rollers, and I've met some of these lovely ladies from Team Amsterdam. What a lovely country, what a great group of people. And as I was talking with one of my co-announcers yesterday, Team Indigenous to me just embodies the spirit of Derby. These women from borderless countries coming together and forming Team Indigenous. And it's an incredible spirit that they're bringing to the track here at this 2018 Roller Derby World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is there's a number of you, of course, from various parts of the world. They're going to recognize a number of those names. Supernova, for instance, I work with in Madison, Wisconsin. Wendigo, I believe, is in Bruce City at this point, but it's skated for Houston for a long time. I've known her for a while. There's just a number of names on there that are familiar to people.
Yeah, I think that's really a great thing about the World Cup, Bob, is that, you know, we see all these familiar faces that we see on highly competitive teams around the world, and then we kind of put them in a shaker, shake them up, and bring them out as these with their respective countries, and it's a whole new game of Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of shaking them all up, that's 38 teams that we have in this 2018 Roller Derby World Cup. As has happened every year or every World Cup, that number increases. Once again, there you get a shot at the fans from Team Netherlands, who are a lot of fun, very vocal.
Well, and I think the Dutch speak better English than I do.
Oh yeah, no, no, that's very true. I think that's why I probably wind. It seems like everywhere I go, I wind up with various skaters from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Because thank God there's somebody out there who can understand me.
Well, you speak the language of Derby, Bob.
Well, they might understand the vernacular. I don't know if they understand me.
I'm always looking for somebody to understand me.
Yeah, I've got that same issue. I'm running out of years.
We have our best ones ahead of us, Bob.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're getting a slightly late start. Everybody is still meeting and getting together here.
Both teams drinking coffee, eating donuts. No, breakfast is finished. All right, we are going to set up. Looks like it's going to be whipping red siren number 10 for the Netherlands. She's going to be skating against number 22, which is Rage.
Netherlands has the bench near the jammer line, and they have also taken the rear wall. And to start the game, obviously, Team Indigenous has the bench near the pivot line. Oh, these numbers are very nice to read, Bob.
Yeah.
I think even the folks at home can see those well
the
on the
contrast in size.
And the sevens are.
I think
bigger.
Amy has been taken into consideration for the two of us.
Yes. The older eyes looking at the Derby track.
I appreciate the fact that the NSOs printed out the rosters in a 36 font.
That's it. Large print rosters.
Yeah, yep. And we're looking for Braille by the next World Cup, I think.
That's why we're announcers. We can't see the track, but
yeah.
We didn't Braille up
we
here.
Just have this feeling.
Rainy City, I have to say, has been amazing hosts here at the Event City in Manchester, UK. And this venue is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. You and I both know what kind of effort it takes to put together an event. But to put together an event of this enormity is far surpasses any project that anybody else will work on in roller derby. I mean, having been involved with the announcing side of it a couple of times, that alone is, you take everybody's job here and you could say, well, it's the same thing, it's just bigger, but you multiply it by about 5 times the work. And this is an amazing venue. We've got 4 tracks here. We're on track roll line. Most tracks that we've ever had, they finally will get some whistles. We're going to get started here. Once again, that's going to be Whippin' Red Siren up against number 22. That is Rage from Team Indigenous.
Thank you for bringing that back in. It's been a little bit since we heard those jammers.
And, of course, everybody pushed up against the pivot line. And things get started. Whippin' Red Siren looking for a little room on the inside. And in the meantime, Rage going to be trapped behind a 2-wall of Team Indigenous at the back.
Yeah, 2-wall in the back, nicely braced. We have pushed the front wall past the pivot line and getting into corner 1. We already have our first penalty called here. I heard a whistle. I'm waiting for, there we go, a cut track on a Team Indigenous blocker.
And there we go. We've got your first lead jammer. That's going to be Whippin' Red Siren.
And just coming out of the pack now, Rage is going to put some pressure on Whippin' to get some points and call it.
Oh, Whippin' Red Siren. Nice job there of leveraging one of the blockers in the 2-wall up front and then basically backing off and letting her fall so she can slip by. She's going to take the 4 points and call off the jam.
Rage had hit the back of the pack before she called it, but did not get any points. So.
You know, and that's such a good tactic. When you've got 2 people that are leveraged against each other and you pull back, it's like letting go of the rope in tug of war.
Yeah, you got it. Nice analogy. Wrong one. Fatality, jamming for Team Indigenous. And she's going to be up against Bonnie Bragger from the Netherlands. Bonnie trying on an outside line, doesn't get it. It gets denied by Azan.
Fatality also going to be recycled to the back, and we're going to have our lead jammer for this jam. That's going to be Bonnie Bragger of the Netherlands. Fatality still trying to work her way through the pack, and she's going to get herself right up into a 3-wall. Nice job of slipping the inside blocker and staying inside the inside line of turn 2 as she is free.
Bonnie Bragger working on that scoring pass and isn't even looking to her bench as we see Fatality coming in for scoring.
As I watch Bonnie Bragger, and I've had a chance to see her a couple of times this weekend, she's I often think she's probably one of the newer skaters. She's got one of those really kind of uncouth styles, but it works.
Team Indigenous has 2 blockers in the penalty box, and Team Netherlands coach is telling Bonnie Bragger, keep skating, because we're going to take advantage of this point opportunity, and it's working great. She is now up to 14 points while leaving Fatality in the pack on her first scoring pass.
Yeah, I don't think Fatality realized that she was actually the defensive answer to stopping Bonnie Bragger. Looked for some space on the inside and actually opened the entire outside door for her.
Now that penalty box has emptied, but Team Netherlands coach is still calling, keep it going. And again, the other strategy here is we are just really tiring out Fatality.
Yeah, the coach of the Netherlands obviously recognizing that her defense is holding up, so instead of calling the jam, she's going to keep this thing going. Of course, there's no reason to call it. The other jammer's not even out of the pack yet. And Bonnie Bragger's going to turn around and she's stuck. The jam only had 2 seconds left in it anyway, but she calls it off.
So 4 points on the board for Team Indigenous.
And a 21-4 run overall in favor of Team Netherlands. Right now, score 26-4, Team Netherlands. We anticipate that this should be a pretty tight matchup based on some of the competition that they had yesterday.
Oh, I would completely agree with that. Team Netherlands came out of nowhere against Ireland, and I think they're going to really do a number here now. We have a Supernova jamming for Team Indigenous, but lead jam 3 straight in a row for Team Netherlands goes to Whippin' Red Siren.
Yeah, Whippin' Red Siren, and I only say this because she likes to brag about it, the oldest player on Team Netherlands.
So do you know what class of, is she like Derby over 30, Derby over 40?
No, she's in her early 40s, I believe.
So she's Derby over
and
40.
She is ripped. She works out. She is an absolute workout fiend.
Unfortunately, she went to the penalty box.
Yep, she's going to
For
sit
a
for 30
cut track.
seconds. She heard me talking about her, got all distracted.
So losing that lead early. We're going to have a 2-minute jam here. Supernova getting the beat down. This is one tight, constantly cycling, constantly just like the Kraken here up front. Team Netherlands is just not letting Supernova out of the pack.
Yeah, Supernova from the Mad Rolling Dolls of Madison, Wisconsin, which is actually where I am from. Supernova trying to fight through the 2-wall up front. I tell you, and Ferocious is just not the kind of skater that is going to move for you.
Whippin' Red Siren was out of the box, completes her scoring pass. 5 in the sky for Whippin' Red Siren.
And Whippin' Red Siren and Ferocious, respectively, either founders or very important members of both Rotterdam and Amsterdam.
Supernova did get out of the pack and is now on a scoring pass, but Team Netherlands coach is saying, hey, keep on scoring. 4 points, that pass for Whippin' Red Siren. The jam comes to an end, and only 2 points for Team Indigenous. We're having a little conversation before we see if there were any points scored for Team Netherlands.
Yeah, it looks like we have a 9-2 run. Score is going to be 35-6, 23:50 remaining in the first period. If you've just happened to tune in, you're just joining us. This is Team Netherlands against Team Indigenous, and Netherlands in the orange and black, Indigenous in red. And right now you're going to see number 2.
Manic Panic against number 40 Fucking Tough.
And once again, we've got a lead jam for the Netherlands.
They have a monopoly on it so far this game.
Yep. Team Indigenous really, at this point, could be looking for a break after this jam, trying to be able to pull the jam and put a few more points up on the board.
We have a multiplayer block, sending a Netherlands skater to the penalty box. Manic Panic drawn back, almost back to the jammer line as Fucking Tough is pushing that front wall almost
and
out of corner 2.
All of you at home have had a great view of that as she has just got her head down trying to plow through that 3-wall up front. And she'll finally spin free, and then she's going to get caught by number 1998, Devious Dewey. And
Fucking Tough has now broke out of the pack. Getting some signals about where she can break through here. We did have a power jam there for Team Indigenous. Manic Panic is just returning from the penalty box now.
And as you're viewing at home, you can see how it almost looks like a pinball machine in the middle of that pack.
That is some bouncing around, and you have to be strong. You have to be fucking tough to get through these things.
And with that, jam's going to be finished. And so far, Team Netherlands pretty much just running the 2 minutes, even though they've had lead jam, and there's been no reason for them not to.
3 points for Team Netherlands, even with the power jam going to Team Indigenous. 5 for Team Indigenous, that jam. That brings us to 11-38, 21-15 on the period clock. We will have a full 1 hour game, 2 30-minute periods. We have Rage back to the jam line for Team Indigenous.
And number 2 of 6 is going to be out there. That's going to be Bonnie Brager. Bonnie Brager going to be recycled. She's going to end up coming back to the back of the pack. Rage looking to get that first lead jam for Team Indigenous. Looked like she actually had a room on the inside and unfortunately took the block the wrong way up the middle. And just as she was about to get free, she gets spilled to the infield in turn 1. Bonnie Brager, there we go. I'll tell you, as I sit here with Amy Jo Moore, Amy, I tell you, it's When we first got started, it was speed skating, then it was jam skating, and now it seems like figure skating moves is really what's making the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was just impressed. Bonnie Bragger got hit, fell down forward, and got up and passed her blockers out of a fall. Like so many jammers would get reabsorbed in that, but she was able to use the momentum of her fall. And it's that kind of talent that brings these people to the level of World Cup. I'm just impressed.
Well, the truth of the matter is there's a lot of things you take for granted when you practice. And practicing falling down and getting back up on your toe stops as quickly as you can is one of the most important things that you can learn.
You could not be more right on that.
As we both know, at the highest levels, sometimes when they fall over, they lose very little of their momentum by the time they're up and skating again.
Yep.
And me, I usually need a little help in a walker.
Fatality jamming against Rockin' Rose. Rossler headed to the penalty box for Team Indigenous. Going to give Rockin' Rose a little bit of breathing room. But it's Team Indigenous fatality taking the first lead jam.
And I tell you, Nina Brava has just been all over the Netherlands jammer. And no surprise there, we've seen Nina Brava many times. And Netherlands finally going to get through.
Little helmet cover stash. Helps. And it looks like a cut track is going to send Fatality to the penalty box.
And you can tell from the way Fatality came back in that she was pretty certain that the block that she was hit with went out of bounds. She looked back to see where she thought the other blocker's foot was, came back in, but unfortunately got called for the cut track.
We also have a jammer penalty for Rockin' Rose is going to release.
In Wisconsin, we call that a jammer do-si-do.
Yes. Well, that's because you guys do-si-do in Wisconsin quite a bit.
Well, I don't.
You don't just. All right.
As a child, I think I was forced to square dance a couple of times.
Yeah, I got forced to do that in high school. But
you too.
Yeah, I was so bad they made me stand at a bench and clap my hands.
Oh my, you are scarred.
This is true. Gotta love high school musicals. So we have a cover pass for Team Netherlands. We now have Dali Drama jamming for Team Netherlands. But Team Indigenous putting some points on the board, and they don't call it off soon enough to stop Netherlands from scoring as well.
And to quote Bill Murray, so I said, Darley, how about a little something for the effort?
They got 2 points for it.
Exactly.
9-2, that brings the score 20 for Team Indigenous, 42 for Team Netherlands, 17 and a half minutes remaining in this first period. Whippin' Red Siren takes the jam line against Supernova.
Whippin' Red Siren out of Rotterdam. Supernova from Madison, Wisconsin.
And Team Netherlands has 2 blockers in the penalty box, but Ferocious and Vosten have done a fantastic job of making things difficult for Supernova, who now goes to the penalty box on a cut track, so lead goes to Whippin' Red Siren.
And so far, Team Netherlands has had a pretty easy go of it. And key to that has just been lead jam after lead jam. And then the truth is their defense has just been incredibly staunch. And we saw that even though the game was very, very lopsided when they played Team Argentina yesterday, the defense really looked strong. It was a transition to offense that was very difficult for them against Team Argentina. We're seeing here today that we're seeing against Team Indigenous, which we realize is it's going to be a different level for them, but I think the transition in the blocking is something that they've worked on and talked about since last night.
Yeah, the passion behind this too, though, I think also, I don't know what it is about World Cup, but the passion in the country's teams just radiates from the game more so than any other high-level derby that I get to watch, and where you might not be able to transition because you're coming from different leagues between like offense and defense, as you were saying, Bob. sometimes that passion is the glue that does help keep it together a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. Obviously, too, it depends on how many different leagues are represented on your national team.
This is true. And the Netherlands is not too many different teams.
No, neither was Team Argentina.
You didn't mention Roller Derby 20. I think that's maybe the only other league that they come from on the Netherlands. Now, that's Team Indigenous has a lot of teams represented.
Yep. No, when you get to the Netherlands and Belgium, you can sometimes, if the bus doesn't show up, you just walk across the country.
That's it. You are pretty much right. So it looks like we are getting a team timeout for Team Indigenous, stopping the clock at 15:04. The score 20-52. And we knew that was coming because Team Netherlands was standing on the track and Indigenous wasn't putting anyone out there.
Absolutely. And with that, let's say thank you to some of our sponsors. Roller Derby Elite. Make your mom proud. Wear Roller Derby Elite. We'd also like to say thanks to Fifth Blocker. Fifth Blocker Skates. Skater owned and operated since 2011. Gallus.
So just looking at some quick stats here, Team Indigenous has only taken the lead once. Netherlands 6 times so far in these first 7 jams, but 3 jammer penalties for Team Netherlands and 2 for Team Indigenous.
Of course, jammer penalties not having held up the Netherlands at all because the defense has done its job. We've seen in a number of cases, we have seen Team Indigenous fight to get their jammer out of the pack on the fight to get them out on the first pass. There's been a couple of times where they have not been able to exit the pack. And the Netherlands, for the most part, though they've had lead jam, has been running 2 minutes or pretty close to it. As we get started one more time, that's going to be Bonnie Brager
against Darrell for Team Indigenous. Darrell getting drawn back by Devious Duvey. Actually, I think it's Devious Davey.
It's Davey. Yeah.
The W's
I had to double check. And Darrell out of the pack, another player we've seen a number of times before.
Does a little bit of a skate adjustment there on the outside of corner 2.
Again, Team Indigenous made up of players without boundaries. Many Native Americans. We've got some. We do have a couple of other Indigenous. A couple other players that are Indigenous to their various areas of the world.
Manic Panic taking the jam line against Rage. Rage finds herself on the floor, but she does not spend long there. Big drawback here by Azan, bringing Manic Panic back into the beginning of corner 4.
Oh, yeah, Azan just totally puts a stamp on her that first time around. She's done a great job the entire game. Right now you can see she's back into the mix. And she sneaks her way back up to the front. Going to make sure that Manic Panic doesn't have anywhere to go.
Rage just stuck behind this brace 2 wall that is now kind of rotating around and holding her in there in corner 1. Looks like Azan was trying to do a little offense on her way back on this drawback, but I don't think she found the opportunity.
Nope.
She's just happy to do this. Lead, the second lead now for Team Indigenous, goes to Rage. Cover is off of Manic Panic, and it is passed. It is passed to number 23, Dolly Drama, who got the star pass last time.
And Rage is called out. The power jam right now for the Netherlands. Rage gets called off the track. Coming down the front straight, didn't see what the indication was. But she was well away from the pack by the time she realized she had drawn a penalty.
I didn't catch that penalty either, Bob. They've been all cut tracks to this point.
Oh!
As drops
her like a 3-foot putt.
Yeah, and Dolly is trying to say, no, this, but I think more than just her hand went out of bounds when she fell.
Yeah.
And that's going to get her that cut track. Now, it looks like.
Nice job there.
Toe stop up the inside, full 5 points for Rage. I was gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an official review over that penalty, but I don't think the bench is going to do that this time. You can't take back the fact that she went to the penalty box, but you could maybe get one of those penalties off her record. 25-59.
This is going down on your permanent record.
Well, I think Dolly is a very important pivot for Team Netherlands, so I don't think they want her to be racking up too many penalties.
And you're going to see the pack's going to get stretched out. Team Indigenous, yep, that's going to be a block. That block went out of bounds. She's able to step back in. That is number 13, Fatality. And for as few lead jams as Team Indigenous has had, they are still well in this game at 59-25.
Dolly has is working on getting the cover handed off, but Team Indigenous is keeping her from getting to her pivot. But it does look like it has now happened that as Party Sparkle has taken that cover, she's going to put the heat on Fatality.
Oh, and they call off the jam, and Dolly Drama, with Dolly Drama right on her tail.
29-59, 10:33 on the first period clock. Bob, it doesn't seem like we've had 20 minutes of derby already.
Yes, it goes very quickly.
I think we're about to see a timeout from Team Netherlands.
Yeah, Team Netherlands taking a timeout. This is a good timeout for them, Amy, isn't it? Because it's a situation where they dominated, and all of a sudden they've given up a couple of lead jam situations, and they find themselves only ahead by 30 points.
That's the first jam they didn't score any points, Bob, that last jam. And so I guess they want to get that momentum back from the beginning of the period.
Yeah, my feeling as a coach was always 30 points is right about where maybe you want to talk about things.
So we have more people to thank here.
Yeah, speaking of talking about things, something I seem to do a lot of, Cheeseball's Precision Skate Bearings, the original hand-prepared skate bearing, available in-house and at the Quad Skate Shop booth, or, for those of you at home, online. I've always wanted Rice-A-Roni to be a sponsor, so I could just say, the San Francisco treat.
You want to sing that?
No, yeah. I don't want to. No, I don't want. No, I don't want to do the jingle.
Oh, come on! How could you not want to?
I just always think of it. It was always a parting gift, wasn't it? Like your parting gift. You play on a game show, and your parting gift is Rice-A-Roni.
Well, if there was any derby company that was going to have a jingle, I think it would be Cheeseball Bearings. So
yeah.
We'll have to talk to those guys.
And they're not even out of Wisconsin.
No, they're not.
They're out of Jackson.
Rock and Rose jamming for the second time for Team Netherlands against Supernova. Third time for her.
And as you can see, that pack very tight, not moving for anybody at the moment.
They're moving millimeters at a time. Drawback by Ferocious.
Don't you go metric on me, Amy Jo.
Oh, come on. We are in Britain. Metric is how they measure things around here.
A lot of these teams do, but the English, they mix it up a little bit, so we can still use.
Another drawback by Azan. The Netherlands jammers have to be used to that by now. Oh, and here we go. Drawback by Fish's Fox.
Fish's Fox, probably one of the tallest, if not the tallest player that we have seen out on the track this weekend.
Well, it's not like the brace there for Team Netherlands is short. They grow them tall. My husband loved going and had lived with the Dutch because all the showers were tall.
Yeah, and as we've said before, you've got Ferocious out front. Ferocious is she's just an incredibly good player, and the strength and force that she brings to bracing those walls makes it very difficult to get through.
Well, we have a jammer penalty on Rock and Rose.
And at the rate this is going, she's going to be able to come back onto the track. And the Netherlands may not have given anything up. There you see number 1998, Devia's Dewi, who has driven the Indigenous jammer all the way back to the front straight. And now it's kind of like the compactor scene from Star Wars.
Yes, that is an excellent description.
One of these days they're just going to squeeze somebody till they pop. I don't know.
Rock and Rose did get herself out of the penalty box. That is a 0-0 jam. 2 scoreless. Yeah, we never got a lead jammer out of that either. I don't think neither jammer completed their initial pass.
Did we get off the front straight?
Nope, never got off the front straight.
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah,
I was actually. I think my brain processed the fact that that's what I was pretty sure I saw, but logic told me I don't know if that could be possible.
So we have an official timeout called, stopping the clock at 17:45. Scores 29-59. It looks like they're just correcting a few things here.
Yeah, this isn't going to take long. They're already ready to get going again.
Tough and Whippin' Red Siren on the jammer line for their respective teams. Team Netherlands still holding that back line at the jammer line to start. I wonder when the benches switch if we'll see that change too. Tough tries to go outside and is denied. Whippin' Red Siren pushing Team Indigenous braced 2-wall up so that they have to drop a skater. She's down to only 1 blocker coming into corner 1, and she gets by. Lead jam, Team Netherlands.
And Whippin' Red Siren having a great game. Oh, and wide open outside lane as everybody had spilled to the inside of turn 1. Easy pass for Whippin' Red Siren for the full 5. She's got some room on the inside. She'll cut it back to the middle.
Tough still on her initial pass, still wearing the jammer covered, knocked to the outside of corner 1. And the Netherlands are going to get a good drawback here all the way to the jammer line. Good 40-45 feet for you, because I don't interpret the track very quickly into meters. No. 11 years of calling feet, and it's hard to remember that. 5 in the sky for Whippin' Red Siren.
Oh my! Tattooed in the back straight is Whippin' Red Siren by number 14, the Fighting Mongoose.
Right into the outside pack rep,
too.
When you tangle the jammer that way, it gives you a little extra time to draw them back. Beaselbeck's going to the penalty box.
We heard that. That was amazing. Whippin' Red Siren, though, popped right back up.
Zan with the knockout on Whippin' Red Siren, drawing her back a good 30-40 feet. And Team Indigenous put some points on the board. At the moment, we're 10-4, advantage Team Netherlands, but this particular scoring pass is really doing a number on Whippin' Red Siren. Did she yield any points there?
I mean, the one thing that I would say about Team Netherlands, and having seen them play a couple of times now, is they are very willing to go ahead and let their jammers continue to go. But once in a while, I question the fact that they continue to let them go after they've already given up a scoring pass. And we saw that against Team Argentina yesterday as well. And obviously, sometimes when you've got people from a number of different teams, that line of communication may not be clear.
Oh, I think they're long pointing on purpose. They got a +8 out of it. That was a 13-5 jam. When you own lead and you control that scoreboard and you can count on your jammers not going to the penalty box, which is not the case for Team Netherlands right now.
No, my apologies. I thought she was working on. I thought she had her second pass in, but we saw it a couple of times yesterday where they let the other team pick up 2 or 3 passes before they finally killed it.
That was the second pass. She got 1 point on the second pass. So 72-34. Nice little double score there. 15-18, the clock stopped for an official timeout.
And we want to thank Strong Athletic. As Strong Athletic, we believe that athleticism and strength are so much more important than what is seen in the mainstream. What is your Strong Athletic story? Share it at strongathletic.com.
Manic Panic taking the jam line against Rage as the two teams kind of got spread out very quickly. And that is lead jam for Team Indigenous. 4 of them so far in these 13 jams of the first period.
Oh, nice move right there by Rage. He had a nice little spin move. I was impressed with how quickly defense recycled, but she will eventually get through it.
She's got some great energy for her 4th jam of this period, Bob. Cover stashed by Manic Panic, but she's going to put that back on now that she got out of the pack. I love the Team Netherlands lion on there, jammer covers.
And have to give kudos to the production team. You guys are getting some incredible pack shots.
41-72 as Team Indigenous picked up 7. Nothing for the Netherlands. That's only their 3rd scoreless jam this period. 14-11 on the period clock. I'm sorry, 4-11. Eyes already blurry this morning, Bob. Wow, fatality jamming.
Somebody get Amy Jo some coffee. Bonnie Brager out there for the Netherlands. She's gonna push that too well. She might. They bridge it, just as it looked like she was gonna get 20 feet outside, but she's gonna anyway. They're gonna have to let her go. They do. Bonnie Brager is gonna be your lead jammer. Fatality still fighting the Netherlands defense.
Right at the pivot line. They haven't moved much. She's got a whole 30 feet in 30 seconds.
And yeah, that time she breaks through. We once again, and I tell you, Odson has just been incredible in her ability to move from the front and back to the pack, play offense and defense. And not only does she spring her jammer, she also lays Bonnie Brager out to end this jam.
Bonnie Brager picks up 1 point in that second scoring pass, 6-0 jam. Brings Team Netherlands up to 78, 41 for Team Indigenous.
And Team Indigenous just kind of chugging along in there. Just when it seems like we get about a 40, 50 point lead, they bring it back down into the 30s and remain very much in this game. They really need to pull some more lead jams, and they really need a big jam, and maybe this is it right here from number 40.
Tough, fucking tough. Picks up lead for Team Indigenous again.
And Tough, a little shake and bake. She's gonna go to the inside, but they're not gonna fool anybody on Team Netherlands. And right now that 3-wall has her pretty well engulfed. Up front, you see number 10, that's going to be Whippin' Red Siren.
Team Netherlands recycles that wall right up around Team Indigenous braced wall. We have 12-12 sitting on the inside. Gordon at the moment making a little skate adjustment before she gets back on the track. Now,
And that's going to be the full 5 points.
I thought she had touched her knee down to the inside of the track. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't a cut track, but the floor is real shiny down there, so it's possible she stayed right in bounds with that fall.
And Tough with some room on the inside. Didn't quite have a quick enough step to take advantage of it. Whippin' Red Siren called off the track for a penalty, so we've got a power jam. And right, speaking of power, that's what it is right now, is raw power as these two fight up front.
Tough and Gordon are just having a hug fest at the front of the pack there.
Exactly. And Tough is going to get through. That should be another pass for her, I believe.
No, she is getting sent to the penalty box. I believe on a forearm. That is correct. A forearm is sending Tough to the penalty box, so 2 jammer penalties in that jam. Teams have an even 5-5 on the jammer penalties in this period.
And speaking of 5, that's how many seconds are left in this jam, and it's going to conclude. So Team Indigenous, I believe, well, we'll see how this is going to shake out. Yeah, I thought she had picked up a second
some
pass.
Points in the pocket, 10 points.
So Tough with what I believe is the largest jam for Team Indigenous.
It sure is.
I do stats in my mind, people.
51-78.
Not very many of them.
We'll just have a couple seconds on the period clock when this jam starts. And it is going to be against Manic Panic. And of course, we have Tough starting in the penalty box from that forearm penalty. She's back on the track now, though, and eligible for lead. She pushes against the rear wall from Team Netherlands. Oh, and that inside closed right out for her. She gets pushed out and has to come back in behind people. The Netherlands wall cycling up and around Team Indigenous. Poor Manic Panic stuck behind a braced for conglomerate.
And of course, hey, anytime you get stuck like that, you got to do what Manic Panic is doing. You got to keep the feet moving and you got to keep rolling around, because the minute you plant yourself, you don't have any leverage at all.
Yep.
And a lot of times you're not. We see jammers that can push themselves through walls, but that is probably more rare than it is common. Being able to move your feet and shake it up and move your upper body to try and break those things up is generally the best advice we can give you.
Yep, you have to keep going back and forth on the track, knocking on the doors, seeing which one might give a little bit.
Because space is your friend.
Yes. And there is some offensive blocking going on here now for both teams.
Yep.
Both teams have given up a defensive player to go work in the other group, and they're just those offensive blockers, and I think you were talking about this before with Team Netherlands, just hadn't really picked up the offense, but Team Indigenous is not doing much better. A multiplayer block going to a Team Netherlands might open this up a little bit for Tough.
Well, Fighting Mongoose, who had come in and tried to open things up for her jammer.
A cut track is going to send
Yep.
Tough to the penalty box, and it was just a tiny little bit. 5 seconds left in this jam, and we still have no lead jammer.
And
jam is going to end with no lead.
But the point I was getting to is you're going to offensively block, come in and move people. Don't come in slow and get in the middle and try to push things around. It's not enough.
So our first period is coming to an end. 78-51 is going to end this first period. We get a little bit of time in between these two halves.
We're going to assume it's 15 minutes because that's generally what it is.
Generally what it is. Six jammer penalties for Team Netherlands, 5 for Team Indigenous. Netherlands, of course, had the advantage with leads, which is why they have that score up there, 9-3. We had a couple jams with no lead.
Yep.
Had really exciting to watch that tight defensive work there.
Absolutely, and as we have seen the first half come to a close, it's been Team Netherlands' defense that has been the dominant factor in this particular game. We're going to give you 14 minutes to go ahead and catch your breath, walk the dog, get something to eat, call your mother. This is Bob Noxious for ABJ Moore. We are on the roll line track, and we will be back in 13 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, we are back here at the roll line track at the 2018 Roller Derby World Cup, hosted by Rainy City Roller Derby.
That's right. We are in Event City.
We are.
It's not a city, but it's an exhibition hall that's just about a small town for sure. We're right smack dab in the middle of the Trafford Center here in the Manchester area. And I tell you, what a great event. What a job that Rainy City Roller Derby has done putting this together. We've got 4 tracks running. We've got a practice track on top of that. That gives you a general idea of what the enormity of this event is. And with 38 teams, considering that you've got temporary changing rooms and everything else set up, you've got a couple of football fields in here, and I don't care if you're talking European or American.
Well, it's American or the rest of the world, actually.
Yeah,
not
yes.
So I am Amy Jo Moore. In case you missed the beginning of this call, I'm here with Bob Noxious. That's who you're hearing. We also have the lovely Suffolk Punch helping us with stats and every other little thing that we might need help with, like the screen freezing earlier. So she's keeping us in tip-top shape.
Yeah, she's basically here to hit me with a stick when I get out of line.
Well, fortunately, I'm between the two of you, so.
Which is good for me.
Yes.
Because I get hit with a stick on most broadcasts, actually.
Well, the halftime clock is counted down to 0, and we are going to get underway without delay. So we are starting with.
We got number 206 out there. Looks like it's going to be Bonnie Brager, and we're starting on a power jam.
Yeah, that's fucking tough. There, sitting in the penalty box for Team Indigenous. Bonnie Brager and Tough both on their 5th jams for the day. Score is 51-78, which you can see right there in the background over top of the skaters' heads.
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, that's
that way,
awesome.
if you're doing the brace, you have a pretty good idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And Bonnie Brager, nice moves to get herself up to the front. Going to slip, though, and now she's right in the midst of the entire blocking force.
She's only got one. She's not getting any help from her team. All passive offense here. Seems like that was an opportunity for them to maybe help while we had Tough sitting in the penalty box, but I don't know what their plan is. I think they didn't know how long Tough had.
Oh, Bonnie Brager almost. I'll tell you, although she's going to get called off for a track cut there, she does her best Sammy Davis Jr. a number of times.
The Fighting Mongoose is responsible for forcing that cut. Lead goes to Tough out of the penalty box, and she is out of the pack, coming around for her first scoring pass. Poor Bonnie Brager sits in the penalty box after all that hard work. Look at that.
And Tough with a nice spin move. I tell you, her toe stop right next to the line.
And Tough gets sent on a forearm called by the outside pack ref. So she doesn't pick up that 5 points right away.
Yeah, of course, as you can imagine, we have international crews here. The calls have been very good. The thing that's been a little different for us is that the communication sometimes comes a little later. So you'll see the skaters in some cases skate a half a lap before the penalty has been communicated to them.
Yeah, and I've heard that, with the European teams, they're kind of used to having differences in language communications with officials and between teams.
Sure.
And so for teams like here in Europe, they're maybe a little more used to that difference and the challenge of that than countries like the USA that has hundreds of teams in one country all speak the same language. 5 points on the board for Bonnie Brager now. But we're pretty sure that Team Indigenous has 5 in the pocket too.
Yeah,
well, she had 5 before she went to the. Oh, that's going to get knocked down to 4, so she never did pass that last blocker.
Nope.
That she got the forearm call on. So 55-83 after our first very exciting jam. Rockin' Rose jamming. Rage jamming.
There we go. Whipping Red Siren. Going to find some easy space on the inside. She will be your lead jammer. Team Indigenous also out of the pack at this point with Rage.
She's got about 40 feet till she meets the pack. The pack is rolling a little bit. 4 points on the board for Whippin' Red Siren, and she's letting Rage engage the pack while she comes around for her second scoring pass. The strategy that Netherlands employed in the first period as well. I don't think it worked as well for them towards that end of that second period or now.
And Whippin' Red Siren trying to work herself through the pack. Rage is going to come into the mix. Whippin' Red Siren that time going to notice that she's sneaking up on her, and she's going to call it off.
3 more points for her on that for a 7-4 jam. 59-90, Team Netherlands in the lead, 26-30 on the clock.
And if you're just tuning in, we've got Team Netherlands in the black and orange. We've got Team Indigenous in the red. This is a game that has been at about 30 to 35 points most of the time. Team Netherlands defense has certainly been the story here. They have a tendency to open it up to about 40, 45 points. And Team Indigenous always crawls right back into it.
They've swapped even leads 1-1, and there we go. A forearm, on fatality sends her to the penalty box. A lot of jammer penalties in this game, Bob.
Yeah, at the end of the first period, now at the start of the second period, all of a sudden it's becoming more of an issue.
Manic Panic still working on her initial pass, pushing out of corner one. She picks up lead jammer for Team Netherlands. That makes 2 for them this period, where last period they just really ran away with the lead jams. In fact, they got the first 5 in the first period.
Yep.
Draw back by number 64. Oh, that's Skate the Mass. That was our late add-on.
And of course, with every game, you're going to see some roster changes, and you're going to see some players that will not be here until the weekend. Nice job by Skate the Mass. Oh, yeah, there we go. Number 64 comes in. I'm sorry, that's going to be Skate the Mass. Is going to come in and bust that open for Fatality.
Fatality now completing her initial pass, forcing the call off for Team Netherlands. Team Netherlands gets all 5 points. There was a jammer lap point in there earlier, 95-59. I like when they mirror like that. 34-35 on the period clock.
You're into the palindrome numbers,
yeah,
huh?
I was trying to avoid saying that word because that company's not a sponsor here. I am into them. That's the geek in me. Tough taking the jam line against Bonnie Bragger.
And the one thing I can say about Bonnie Bragger is Bonnie Bragger really has the ability to push through some of these walls. And
like that.
They'll bend her almost totally backwards. Unfortunately, she's also a little prone to the track cut.
Yes, she is. I wish we had some stats on this because actually we are going to get some stats on that. That's her second one this period. And she had one last period as well. So she's had 3 jammer penalties by herself.
That's because Amy Jo Moore has the ability to watch, talk, and take notes at the same time.
Actually, those are Suffolk Punch's notes. I'm reading off her notes. We're allowed to do that when we're announcers. You get to read off your neighbor's notes.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like counting cards in blackjack. There's days I can do it and days I forget it.
Depends on how much whiskey you have. Well, that's how it is for me. I don't know how it is for you.
Oh, nice job there. Fatality going to shed that very last block.
Out of play block going to Gordon, putting in every last bit she could to hold her back. 4 points now for Bonnie Bragger, and Tough is coming around on her second scoring pass. Tough getting all 5 for the last scoring pass, and last line of defense, Party Sparkle holds her as best she can. 9 points now for Team Indigenous.
And, of course, this has been the game we thought it was going to be. We felt that this was going to be tight from the very beginning. It has been about a 25 to 30-point game most of the time. As we see the fight here up front.
Yeah, the Netherlands hit it hard and had those big points early. We got that big 30-point spread by like the 6th jam of the first period. But now Team Indigenous has just kept this a back-and-forth game. 3 points to 3 points in that last set of scoring passes puts us to 12-3 in favor of Team Indigenous.
I can tell you, really got to acknowledge number 1998, Devious Dewey, and the staunch defense she was putting up at the front. She was draped all over the jammer like a cheap coat. And she was not going to get through. As we get this jam started off right now. And that's going to be Daryl jamming for Team Indigenous. And it's going to be Whipping Red Siren one more time for Team Netherlands, who's been heavy into the rotation. Daryl once again, she's going to have lead jam, and I think she's had lead jam. And this was her second jam?
This is the only second time she's jammed.
And the second lead she has. No?
No, she didn't get lead the last time she jammed.
Oh, well. I got the first part right.
Well, that was way back in the 8th jam in the first period. So, cover stash by Whipping Red Siren. Helps her out of the pack. She's going to put the pressure on. But I guess it's not pressure, excuse me, because Daryl is now in the penalty box. So Daryl, obviously more of a relief jammer for Team Indigenous, mostly dealing with Fatality Rage and Tough, but sometimes they need a break after this Team Netherlands beatdown.
I tell you, Whippin' Red Siren's so effective, and yet she's one of those rare jammers that you see. It's kind of, I would always call them the lunch pail jammer. They just kind of come in. There's nothing fancy about it. She just anticipates where the hole's going to be. She's going to step through it. Nothing flashy, not a lot of sideways footwork. She just gets it done, and there she lays the pivot for Indigenous right on her back as she goes through for another 5 points, and she's having a big, big game.
Daryl now out of the penalty box, picked up her 4 points from her previous scoring pass before she got out of the box. She finished that. Now she's working on scoring pass number 2. Whippin' Red Siren on scoring pass number 3. And she gets 4 points in that third scoring pass. Well, Daryl picked up 2 more. It's going to be a 14-6 jam, bringing Team Netherlands up over the century mark, 112-75 for Team Indigenous, 1938 on the period clock. Period clock is getting adjusted all over the place. It seems to actually be stopped. We have an official review being called by Team Indigenous. Clock is stopped at 1940.
And that gives us an opportunity to talk about Sisu mouthguards. Sisu mouthguards, the official mouthguard of the 2018 Roller Derby World Cup. And I have to say, it's always a pleasure to see CISO-sponsored skaters, Smarty Pants, and Maureen Philippe. Always enjoy bumping into them. We haven't talked about social media at all.
Oh, dear.
So you want to keep up to date with all the action in this Roller Derby World Cup on social media by using the hashtag RDWC 2018 and have your posts featured on our broadcast, perhaps. Or you could just mail a letter to Bob Noxious.
With a stamp?
Yes. It won't get here until the next World Cup, but we'll get it on the air for you.
Well, I mean, what I like about people using the hashtags is not just using them myself. I'd like to go back and check the scores quick. It's a really fantastic way to do it. Roller Derby World Cup is posting the scores using that hashtag. If you don't follow them, although I recommend you follow them too, but you can catch up on all the sweet hits and the cool events that happen here in the games. You get all those little highlights because you can only watch one game at a time. So how do you catch up on these other 3 tracks while you're doing that?
Well, if you've got multiple TVs or screens, you can still only watch one game at a time. So let's talk about Sucker Punch Skate Shop. As Europe's original derby-owned and devoted skate shop, Sucker Punch is dedicated to helping you with honest advice to find exactly what you need and more. And you can visit them at suckerpunchskateshop.com.
Suffolk Punch is going to go find out for us what that official review was about, and we'll report that to you. And it looks like we're going to have, for the first time, number 22 on both teams jamming, Rage and Rockin' Rose.
Oh, now I'm going to be confused.
So Team Netherlands asked for an insubordination for the Team Indigenous skater jammer not leaving the track immediately. They did not win that request. Cover has immediately come off of Rockin' Rose, and it has been passed to Whippin' Red Siren. I'm not quite sure what the strategy was. I'm sorry, not to Whippin' Red Siren, to Party Sparkle. But Team Indigenous does have lead, but they didn't have lead when that cover came off. So I don't know if you have any insight on that, Bob.
They are indicating that that Rage does have lead jam, and she does make a pass to call it off.
I was just trying to figure out why Rockin' Rose took the cover off before a lead was declared. Maybe it was their strategy to just try to get out and score some points. 5 points, though, on the board for Team Indigenous, nothing for Team Netherlands.
Of course, as everybody who plays the game and watches sports knows, a star pass sounds like something that's very easy to accomplish, and it is not so. And I have a feeling they were just trying to catch them off guard. It didn't quite work.
That was Netherlands' first scoreless jam this period. Fatality jamming for Team Indigenous. And then she picks up lead. Still in the pack is Team Netherlands jammer.
That's Bonnie Brager.
Brager.
You don't even have to see the number. You can just tell by the style. And she's going to get dropped out of bounds. One of the things that seems to be effective against her, because she throws her whole body into it, is a lot of times they get her turned and get her off balance. That's her advantage, but once in a while it also kind of bites her. Here she's coming. Nobody's ready. Nice offensive pick by number 23, who then gets popped. That was the Dolly Drama who was able to open that up. Then the Dolly gets dropped.
5-0.
That's not so peaceful, is it?
No. 5-0 for Team Indigenous, 87 to 112. That's double goose eggs for Team Netherlands on those last two jams. Tough up against Whippin' Red Siren. We've seen this matchup a few times, Bob.
Yep, absolutely. And, Tough looks like she finds a seam. It's going to get shut down by 12-12 Gordon.
She pulls herself further back than she needed to. I think she just needed to reset herself, not just even come in a little further back.
And, nice job by the Netherlands defense just as Tough was going to get through. Very last blocker able to force her out of bounds and make her recycle. So we've got a dead heat over in turn 2, as you're seeing on your screen.
Yeah, Team Netherlands with the front braced wall and around the outside.
You saw it right there at home. Whippin' Red Siren with some nice toe stop work on the outside line. Attains lead jam. And tough she is. But she's going to get the track cut.
Wonder if Whippin' Red Siren's going to get told to do these long jams again. Toe stopping along the 3-4 apex. She gets out for her 5 points. She had 4 at first, but the jam ref added that jammer lap point.
On a power jam, I would have a tendency to think so. And I tell you, right there is where they're going to make an offensive run, but that push has got to come quicker. The timing of that is so crucial, and so often we see everybody show up after the jammer's already gotten there.
Yeah, that thumb was late. I just got to hand it to these officials. You talk about communication issues with all of the nationalities, but it's so loud in here with 4 tracks going and all these whistles. It's amazing that the communication these officials are able to do on these tracks.
Well, that's one of the graceful things that does come with age. I don't hear as well, so it doesn't bother me quite so much.
87 to 117, 15-10 remaining in the game as we see Manic Panic jamming against Tough, who's now coming out of the penalty box. The Dutch have done a great job of staying back, bridging back to that jammer line, so she has to skate backwards to re-enter. But look at this cycling back, Bob.
Yep. And if you've not been to the Netherlands, I suggest you do so. It's a beautiful, beautiful country.
Manic Panic able to stay in bounds after getting knocked down. She picks herself back up, but Team did just fantastic job of cycling up and reabsorbing her. 30 seconds down, and we have yet to see a lead jammer.
Boy, I tell you, Team Indigenous just does not know the word quit. Every time it looks like the score's going to open up just enough that it's going to be too hard to pull themselves back in. Again, 30 points, which is the magic number.
Lead goes to Team Netherlands now. It took them 54 seconds. Manic Panic, nice strides around and engaging the pack now for her scoring pass. As this is going to the penalty box on a cut track is Tough. That's 5 cut tracks for Tough in this game so far. We are playing a normal 1-hour game of derby. Skaters are allowed 7 trips to the penalty box before they're asked to leave the game.
Yes, if you are just joining us, you are watching Team Netherlands versus Team Indigenous. Indigenous in the red and black. Orange and black, of course, would be Team Netherlands. We are at Event City in the Trafford Centre of Manchester, England. You are listening to Bob Noxious and Amy Jo Moore. And we are in day 2 of the seeding process. We will know at the end of the night who the 8 teams are that will be playing that will be challenging each other in single elimination for the World Cup. The rest of the field, the other 30 teams, will be playing consolation rounds to get their final ranking.
Yep. Boney Bragger has been working on getting lead jam for 30 seconds, but Tough is now out of the penalty box. You have to figure, though, Tough is in her 3rd consecutive jam as a jammer. The advantage to Boney is she has Azan in the penalty box, and Tough manages to get lead. I thought Boney was going to get it right out of the gate, but there was one Indigenous blocker that came across the front, shut her down, and then everybody was able to get back up there. This cycling and these braced walls, knowing where to go to find their space, almost leaves me speechless, which makes it hard to announce. Right? I know you feel my pain, Bob.
I do.
You right now, we're both just like wanting to watch the game.
Well, I'll tell you, it's watching Tough try to get through these front 2 blockers has been almost a full jams process, and she finally calls it off, and I don't blame her. I would have stopped before it started.
Boney saw that cleanup on corner 4 and took advantage of it and scooched through, but she did not get any points. Denied. I thought for sure she had passed some blockers in that.
Cleanup aisle 9, cleanup aisle 9.
It's at the moment we're seeing that this is a 4-0 jam, 91 to 122. Clock is still running as officials are talking and discussing things. We have started this jam.
Whipping red siren out there for the Netherlands, number 185, Supernova.
We haven't seen Supernova on the jam line many times, only 4 times this game, compared to Whipping Red Siren's been out there 9 times for Team Netherlands. Definitely a go-to jammer for Team Netherlands.
Yeah, Supernova got to start moving those feet, bouncing around. There she does. She's going to bounce to the outside. Once you get stuck in the trap of those claws of those triangle defenses, it's pretty hard to do much. You got to get around to the outside. She's able to do that. She stopped again. They're going to pass the star. It's going to go to number 503. 503, Azazan, who has actually just been pummeling and punishing people the entire game.
Knocked to the inside and drawn back as Azazan starts her first scoring pass. Whipping Red Siren just having a miserable time in the sad place there with that braced wall up front of Team Indigenous. She gets 2. Looking to see if there's going to be any points there. There are some points for Azan.
That's going to be an even heat.
She's having a little conversation with her jam ref over there. 93 to 124, 9 minutes 33 seconds remaining in the second period as we see Rage take on Manic Panic.
Both jammers trying to find a little space. Rage looked like she had an opening on the inside for just a second. She gets caught and run to the infield. She'll have to recycle herself.
Ferocious on that knockout. But it's really that whole braced wall that's doing the work or keeping her out of the game. There is a cover on the floor.
Yeah.
It looks like Azjan's lost the pivot cover. Although we have a skater skating out. It is the jammer with no jammer cover. She cannot. She should have got lead, but she can't get lead if she doesn't have the cover on her head. So she is out. She completed her initial pass. This leaves Team Netherlands can still get lead in this jam. So she is now on a scoring pass. I'm sorry, so Team Indigenous is on a scoring pass. They lost the cover before they completed their initial pass. 5 points on the board there for Rage. And I believe it's Manic Panic
It's
still,
Manic,
right?
it's Manic Panic who's
I don't
been.
see Manic Panic. That's.
I think, yeah, she's at the very
such,
back.
there
with,
she is. She has her
yeah,
cover off.
The cover's off. She's got the white helmet, and she is trying to make a. She's trying to make a pass, or at least fake a pass. Yeah, her pivot is nowhere near her.
And here we go with the cover off of Manic Panic. She does get out of the pack. She intentionally had the cover off.
And Indigenous gonna.
So she should have had lead. I'm not quite sure why Manic Panic didn't get lead jam.
Yeah, we didn't see an indication of. I didn't see an indication of no pass, no penalty.
Might be a communication issue here. She had enough time to have passed everybody legally, Bob, don't you think? She has cycled
had
quite
the time.
a few.
Whether she did, I don't know. The time, no question. And that's going to be the end of that jam.
I'm on 2 minutes.
And that was a lot of fighting for 5 points, but still important for Team Indigenous as they close this thing up. This is as close a game right now as we have seen.
We're going to see some points go up on the Netherlands side after the jam ref talks with his outside pack refs. 4 points. So that'll spread it a little bit, but you are so right. We haven't seen only a 26-point spread since the fourth jam of the game. So we have a little bit of talking here. We have a team timeout that has been attributed to Team Indigenous. That is the second one that they have taken.
Yeah, and once again, another good timeout. Sometimes you got to take them when you start to lose ground on people, and then there's times when you're starting to make up some ground. You want to make sure everybody is on the same page, especially when you're this deep into the game and you're still holding on to a timeout and an official review.
I think they also need to rest their jammer rotation a little bit. They rely really on Fatality, Rage, and Tough. Tough sitting on 5 penalties also could be one of the reasons that this was a good time, even though they had really nice momentum going here. Team Indigenous really making it hard. Team Netherlands only scored 6 points in the last 4 jams. They've only scored 11 points in the last 7 jams.
And that's Amy Jo Moore with the ability to multitask.
Yeah, well,
I will take no credit for any of that.
The score in the second period here is Team Indigenous 51, Team Netherlands 50. So Team Indigenous winning the second half. Bonnie Bragger going back and forth against this rear braced wall of Team Indigenous.
And she's with a really I don't know how else to explain it, but a very elastic style, as she's able to just really contort her body in so many different ways.
Fatality up front against the Netherlands wall. And it is Bonnie Bragger with the lead for Netherlands. I think that timeout's going to help the Netherlands more than Team Indigenous.
And the attempted apex leap, but Air Bragger is not going to get the landing gear down. Your beverage service will be disrupted. She's going to call off the jam.
She gets some amount of no points. 0-0 jam. She hit that braced rear wall and they did not yield a single hit. 102 to 128, 6 minutes remaining in this game. Rage returns to the jam line for Team Indigenous. Whippin' Red Siren on her 10th jam. We are going to take a team timeout by Team Netherlands now. They liked that first timeout so much that they thought they'd take one of their own. Clock stopped at 5:53.
Well, it's always interesting to me when it comes to team timeouts because there are some teams that are very good about using the other team's timeout to have a little discussion, and then there are others that are just opt to wait it out.
You are so right, Bob.
But of course, we know that some of the more tenured coaches will actually use those back-to-back when they need more time to talk. They like to take a timeout right after the other team has done so.
I have done that a few times myself as the coach.
I did too, but it was totally by accident. I sneezed. It wasn't a timeout call. I can't help it. That's just the way it looks.
Well, it's also a time for the officials to gather and do some assessments as well and check in, so no complaining there by them to get a little bit of a break. We were watching them on the screen, discuss how things are going. This is a really nice, tight crew here. I love seeing all the officials in position, and I just know all my officials friends watch these, and they're like, oh, look how in position those outside pack refs are.
Oh, come on. We all know that officials watch each other and complain about all the calls they make. I've sat with officials in the stands. It's terrible. I won't ever do it again. They're the most brutal group. You think fans are brutal or we're brutal about the kind of calls we see?
They think it's
nobody is harder on each other than the refs are. I know that, so don't tell me different, you officials out there.
I wouldn't dream of saying you were wrong about that.
I'm not saying they don't love each other.
Whipping Red Siren.
It's just tough love.
Another lead. Oh, yeah. Derby's all about tough love, really. And a star pass to Team Indigenous' pivot. Skate the Mass. She puts that cover on. She's going to put the pressure on Whippin' Red Siren, who's scoring points. Either Whippin' doesn't know that she's out or Whippin' doesn't care. She's going to call it. Whippin' Red Siren has picked up 3 of her own. 1 point for Team Indigenous. 103 to 131.
And in that particular jam, nice job by Novocaine shutting down Team Indigenous from the potential scoring run that they wanted to make.
That was a brilliant cover pass. We have not seen, we have Supernova. We don't see her often. Supernova back on the jam line for Team Indigenous. Bonnie Bragger for her 10th time at the jam line.
And once again, if you watch Bonnie Bragger, it's really, really fun to watch. Once in a while, you just see somebody that's got a very unique style. And she's got an elasticity to her, and kind of this. She's willing to kind of fall into the block and then be able to catch her balance.
She's so small though on this view from the pivot line going back. It's hard to see her. We're getting a good view here from behind. Looked like for a moment she was going to get a breakthrough on the outside, but she is knocked out and drawn back. Going to get a little bit of a break as Black Rock Bruiser heads to the penalty box.
And I'll tell you, the one thing that Bonnie Brager does have is she's got that quick initial first step. And there's such a big difference between speed and acceleration. When she does have that opening, she's through it very quickly. And that's really tough for blockers to try and counter. Even more so than speed, I think.
So the cover is off of Supernova. I don't see it in her hand, though. But we do see Azdan, who is the pivot for Team Indigenous, come back.
Oh, wow!
Flipped up and over.
She was helicoptered on that one.
Yeah, but
trying to get a number on that. Looks like it's going to be Nina Brava. Yes, it is.
Nina Bravo went out of bounds, though, so Bonnie was able to pick herself up and just come back on the track and go.
That was her consolation.
I think she got some good communications from her teammates, letting her know about that, too. Yep. Something I'm always coaching my team at home about is that jammers rely on you guys to be their eyes for those kinds of hits.
Well, as you and I both know, communication is really one of the huge keys to the most successful teams. It's funny how so many of us like to talk until you're all together on the track, right? Then everybody is silent.
So right, Bob.
I tell you, any coach that can take a team and get them to communicate is going to have success, because that is one of the most difficult things to get people to do. We've got a score now of 140 to 103. This is the biggest lead that the Netherlands has opened up in this half. And that's courtesy of the last 9-point run. And with 1:53 left, and the nature of the way this game has gone, The Netherlands may have just put this one away.
They put Whippin' Red Siren back out there to jam.
Whippin' Red having a very, very consistent and successful game. We're going to see Team Indigenous going to get through first. That's going to be important. Number 64, Skate the Mass.
It's her first time jamming. We've mentioned her name a few times. But we just had a start pass.
Yes, we did. That's going to be to number 82, Party Sparkle.
All right. Lead actually went to Team Indigenous on that one. Okay, I got confused. 4 points.
It's all right, Amy. I've lived a life that way.
Woo! 107 to 140 as we drop below a minute remaining in the period. Plenty of time to get another jam in here. As we see Fatality come to the jam line for Team Indigenous, but nobody from Netherlands on the track. They're calling a team timeout.
I like this timeout. I think the Netherlands, I think this is a smart timeout. You're up by 33 points.
Yeah, you don't want to make a mistake and have a jammer go to the penalty box or anything at this point.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, you need to make sure everybody's on the same page. You've led the entire game. And the last thing you can afford to do, though we have not seen big jams, it's still the last thing that you can afford to do. It's certainly not impossible. Just based on the pace of this game, it's not highly likely.
Yeah, our biggest jam was the second jam of the whole game where we saw Boney Bragger pick up 22 points. But after that, there was only two other jams where the Netherlands had double digits. And only two jams on the whole time on the Indigenous side with double digits. So
we'll take a moment to say thank you to Blood and Thunder. Their belief is life's better on roller skates. Visit them at bloodandthundermag.com for roller derby inspired apparel.
It looked like that timeout was to give Whippin' Red Siren a rest so she could come back for yet another jam. It's getting loud in here. Fatality jamming for Team Indigenous. Whippin' Red Siren up against the back of Fatality.
Yeah, it looks like she got caught up in a pair of skates.
Yeah.
Fell down to the ground. Oh,
lovely
wow.
knockout.
Don't know who hit her. Number 13. That's going to be Fatality. Just dropped. And I think it knocked the wind out of her a little bit.
Furious had knocked down Fatality, but also went to the penalty box for whatever she did.
Ferocious.
And lead jammer goes to Whippin' Red Siren. She's got 6 seconds left in the game. She's going to slow it down.
Yep.
Coast with her hands resting on her hips. No tapping. She turns to see the clock.
There she goes.
She's going to call that off.
And there you have it. That's your unofficial score of 140 to 107. Of course, any adjustments we don't expect to affect this game at all. Team Netherlands with their second victory out of 3 games.
And a good one, too. They really weren't expected to beat Team Iron, and I don't know that anyone expected them to do this well against Team Indigenous either.
I believe Indigenous is now 1-2.
So, yeah.
But the loss doesn't, based on the various factors that are going to be involved in this.
Indigenous won one yesterday. Yes, 1-2.
Based on the various factors involved with the seeding process, the close loss is not as painful as a pure win-loss situation.
Yeah. So,
once again, nice game. It was a great game by both teams. Team Netherlands, congratulations. Both teams will play. Netherlands, I believe, will play a second game today. Some teams will play 2 games today. Some teams will play 1.
Most teams are only playing
most
one,
teams,
right?
Yes, you're right. Most teams will only play 1. And from the Roll Line track here at Event City at the Trafford Center in Manchester, England, I am Bob Noxious. I have been with Amy J. Moore, and we would like to say thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned in and follow all the excitement on all 4 tracks this weekend of the Roller Derby World Cup 2018.
We'll be back for another beautiful day of Derby here at the Roller Derby World Cup 2018.